Don't go back home, my grandson begged, clutching my sleeve like a life preserver. I froze on the church steps, keys biting my palm. Grandma, please. Mom's planning something bad. The afternoon was too bright. I looked at Liam, 16, trying to be a man, still my boy. Bad like what? Like lock the door behind you bad. Like take your stuff bad. You're scaring me, I said. I'd only stepped out for choir practice. Home held my cup in the sink, my sweater on the chair, decades of photos on the wall. Tell me everything. Liam opened a text thread and turned the screen. My daughter Dana had messaged Lock Pro, 17 p.m. Confirm for 6 yeah. Front and back deadbolts changed. Occupant not present, 18 p.m. She'll be at choir. Keys are in her purse. Dispose? I didn't breathe for a beat. Dispose? She wants you in Meadow Pines, he said. She scheduled an intake tomorrow. She told me it's a wellness center, but it's assisted living. She said it's already handled. The stone step felt cold even through my shoes. No, I said before continue shout out your city. I'll feature a few in the next video. Let's continue. There's more, Liam said. She told Uncle Carl on speaker, if she pitches a fit, we'll call it a safety issue. She also said a notary's coming at 6:30 for power of attorney. She said you sign better when you're distracted. My hands went numb. I had taught Dana to tie her shoes and keep spare cash in the freezer. Why? I asked, to no one. Then I stood. Let's go. Liam drove because my fingers wouldn't obey. We turned onto Birch. My blue house sat mid-block, white porch rail, neat hedges. A white van idled 2 doors down with Lock Pro in orange letters. What's the plan? Liam asked. First, we don't walk into a trap, I said. We parked across the street. I called my neighbor, Mrs. Patel, the sharpest woman I knew. There are men measuring your locks, she said before I could speak. I'm watching. Would you be my witness? Already coming. The van door slid. A man with a clipboard and a second with a toolbox went up my steps. One rang the bell. The other lifted a drill. The whine cut the block. Document, Liam whispered, starting a video. I stepped out with my spine straight and my heartbeat wild. Excuse me, I called. The drill stopped. This is my house. Who hired you? Work order says Hart, the clipboard man said. D. Hart. I'm E. Hart, I said. I do not consent. You can wait for the police or you can leave now. They traded a look. The older one nodded. We'll wait. Mrs. Patel crossed over, small and fierce. Good, she said. Everyone behaves better with witnesses. She touched my elbow. Keep it factual. I called the non-emergency line. I explained that workers were attempting to change locks at my residence without my consent, and that a relative had scheduled a notary for a power of attorney. Please send an officer, I said. I am present and do not consent. On the way, the dispatcher said. 10 minutes stretched. Dana's SUV turned onto Birch and parked fast. She left the engine running and came up the walk. Mom, what are you doing here? You weren't supposed to be back yet. I live here, I said. She glanced at the locksmiths, at Liam's phone, at Mrs. Patel. This is a safety update, she said. We talked about it. We did not, I said. You also scheduled a notary. It's a convenience, she said. You've been forgetting things. You fell, I said. And I remember plenty. I held up the phone with the text bubbles. Did you tell someone to dispose of my keys? Her face changed, quick and hard. Out of context, she said. You mix things up, Mom. This is why Meadow Pines makes sense. Blue light slid around the corner. The officer listened to both sides, looked at the texts, looked at the drill, looked at me. No lock changes without the homeowner's consent, he said. Power of attorney requires capacity and willingness. We're not doing this on a porch. Dana gave a laugh that didn't reach her eyes. Officer, my mother gets confused. Ask her about her last birthday. My birthday is in March, I said. You forgot this year. The officer asked the locksmiths to leave. They did, shoulders dropping. He told Dana to step back and suggested everyone cool off. Then he looked at me. Ma'am, do you feel safe entering your home? Safer than 10 minutes ago, I said. But I'm not walking into something I don't understand. We stood on the porch. The lemon smell of my hallway drifted out. Donna paced near the curb with her phone. Mrs. Patel lowered her voice. "Start a paper trail," she said. "Time, place, who said what. Photograph the locks. Save the texts," I nodded. Liam filmed the porch camera light and the brass deadbolt. I wrote the time on a notepad in block print. 6:11 p.m., my phone buzzed. A new text from Dana. "Mom, this escalated because you won't accept help. Meadow Pines is best. Please don't make me do this the hard way." I typed back. "I do not consent to lock changes, facility placements, or power of attorney. All further discussions will be in writing with a third party present." The officer returned from his patrol car and handed Dana a card with a case number. He met my eyes. "If anyone tries to enter without permission, call." "I will," I said. He left. I hung my keys on their hook and faced Liam and Mrs. Patel. My house felt thinner at the edges, like someone had traced the seams and meant to pry. "Grandma," Liam said low. "What now?" "Tonight we write everything down, names, times, and what each person actually said on paper." The answer rose up simple and hard. "Now we get our own plan," I said. "And we make a record she can't bend." We didn't sleep at my house that night. I locked up, left the porch light burning, and followed Liam to Mrs. Patel's kitchen. She set 3 mugs, a legal pad, and a blue pen. "Warm your hands," she said. "Tell me everything." I started simple. "I bought the blue bungalow with Walt 40 years ago, on his postal pay and my cafeteria checks. We planted the birch the week Dana was born. Walt hung the porch swing the summer she learned to read. By the time Liam came along, the mortgage was gone. Paid off, ours. Not fancy, but every corner has us." "Your daughter is practical," Mrs. Patel said. "Until the numbers got big," I said. Last fall's tax envelope showed the county estimate through the window. Dana saw it and whistled. She started saying asset when she looked at my living room. Not couch, not quilt, asset. After Walt passed, she brought brochures. Active adult villas. Maintenance-free living. I kept them in a drawer and used one as a placemat under potting soil. I told her I liked my neighbors and the way the light hits the hallway at 4. She smiled. "Mom, be flexible." We still had good months, but new habits crept in after her divorce. Dana kept a file folder in her tote labeled Mom Important. She asked for my bank app login to check autopay. I said no. She offered to streamline my mail. I said no to that too. "Tell her about last spring," Liam said. I tripped on the rug and bruised my hip. It gave Dana a script. She showed up with a pill organizer and a caregiver on a trial shift. The woman was kind, but I didn't need her. I passed a clinic screen the next week. Dr. Nguyen wrote "no impairment," with date and initials. I tucked that paper in the front of my recipe box. "Receipts matter," Mrs. Patel said. "Copies, names, dates." After the bruise, Dana started saying I seemed scattered. She told my brother Carl I repeat myself. Everybody repeats themselves. But the word hovered until it felt heavy. Liam slid his phone across the table and opened a photo of my fridge calendar. Thursday, choir 5:30. Friday, pay water bill. Saturday, Ruth's birthday, 2I. Not confusion. Just my life on paper. We laughed for a thin second. New creases on my hands looked like roads Walt never drove. "I can take my time," I said. "But I'm not lost." Dana and I used to go yard sailing. She found treasure in junk. Somewhere along the line, the bargain thrill turned into a hustle. She started talking about liquidating clutter, pointing at my quilts, my cookbooks, the chipped rooster salt shaker that pours too fast. She called them legacy items when she wanted me to smile while she boxed them. I played along once. I agreed to donate duplicate casserole dishes, and she slid my favorite pie plate into the box. I pulled it back out, I said. I washed it like I was saving a life. After that, we set a rule. Nothing leaves unless I say so. She nodded and kept the van hatch open. When Liam got his first job bagging groceries, he stopped by after school. We sat on the porch. The swing knew our weight. "Grandma," he said now, careful, Mom didn't get here in one jump. It's been building. I know, he swallowed. When she texted Lock Pro, she also texted someone saved as Notary Jim. He scrolled. 6:28 p.m. Bring standard durable POA. She'll sign fast. Mrs. Patel wrote it down. That sentence will not survive daylight, she said. I took a folded paper from my wallet. Appraisal from 2 summers ago, I said. Klein & Co. August 12th signed. It put the house near 400. The angle shifted on the table, from family worry to figures. So the stakes are clear, Mrs. Patel said. Home paid for. Value high. Daughter under pressure. Grandson protective. Mother lucid. You must defend your borders. I don't want a war, I said. I want my life. Then plan like a diplomat with a good lawyer, she said. Walt always said, measure twice, cut once. I looked at the legal pad. Top line, case, Harthouse. Second, facts, owner present. Text saved. Locksmith confirmed. Police report number. Evidence, not a fistfight. We made a short list. Consult an elder law attorney. Freeze credit. Place a fraud alert. Notify my doctor about coercion concerns. Change the porch camera password. Update my emergency contact to Carl until boundaries were clear. Duplicate keys for a small circle. Add do not solicit to local notary files. Mrs. Patel texted her cousin at the county clerk's office and asked which forms help prevent deed monkey business. A checklist buzzed at 9:02 p.m. Liam added a line for himself. Tell coach I might be late. Family thing. Close to midnight we drove back. We checked windows, photographed locks again, and I slept with my robe on the chair and my keys under the pillow. The house creaked in its old language. I dreamed of Walt hammering the swing and woke with a sentence firm in my mouth. I am not a guest in my own life. Morning, I brewed coffee and opened the curtains. Birch leaves brushed the glass. On the counter, the legal pad waited, the blue pen uncapped. I called Dr. Nguyen's office and asked for a fresh letter. No cognitive impairment. Independent judgment intact. I requested letterhead, a timestamp, and her initials. Then I called Klein & Co. for a duplicate appraisal. Paper, dates, ink. The red folder felt solid in my hands, like a small, steady shield today. I set the papers in a bright red folder. I wrote my name on the tab in block letters. At 9:47 a.m., Dana's SUV slowed at the curb. I stood in my doorway with the folder visible, my spine straight, the porch swing still. This is my house. These are my lines. I kept the red folder where the sun hits at 9. Dana arrived at 9:47 a.m., same as yesterday, wearing a smile that didn't crinkle her eyes. Morning, Mom, she said. I brought muffins. Counter, please, I said. Liam sat at the table. Mrs. Patel slipped in the side gate, tapped the rail, our quiet knock, and took the chair by the window with her notebook. Great, a team meeting, Dana said. Safety updates. I scheduled a home assessment. Rails, mats, all good. Who asked for it? I said, I did, she said. I'm handling logistics. Going forward, I said, nothing gets scheduled without my consent. Put that in writing. She set a Meadow Pines brochure down. Just browse. I slid it back. No, her phone buzzed. She flipped it face down. At 10:02, the doorbell chimed. The porch cam showed a man in a navy blazer with a leather folio. Notary Jim, he told the lens. I opened the door on the chain. We're not requesting your services, I said. Please note the homeowner declines. He blinked. I have a standard durable POA packet. And I have hot coffee, I said, and shut the door. Liam filmed the timestamp, 10:04. Dana's smile thinned. Mom, you're being stubborn. Stubborn keeps my roof, I said. Email any proposals, she gathered her tote. I'm trying to help. Help that respects me looks different. She left. At 10:12 a.m., 3 password reset emails landed. Bank, utility, pharmacy. I hadn't requested anything. I photographed each with the stove clock in frame and forwarded them to myself with unsolicited reset. 10:12. Mrs. Patel wrote the senders and subjects on her pad. Freeze your credit, she said. We placed a fraud alert with all 3 bureaus. The mail slot clicked at 10:31. On top, a gray postal service letter. Change of address confirmation, my name. A street I'd never lived on. She tried to move my mail, I said. Do not panic, Mrs. Patel said. We'll cancel and flag your address. Liam shot the envelope, my hand, the clock, 10:32. The landline rang at 10:44. Caller ID, Meadow Pines Admissions. I tapped speaker. A tidy voice said, Hi, this is Linda, confirming tomorrow's intake. Transport at 1 p.m. Is the side gate best? Who requested that? I asked. Your daughter Dana, she said. We have her card for deposit, and the POA is set for notarization today. 6:30. Linda, I said. Steady. Please note that I, the person named, do not consent to intake and do not grant anyone authority to sign for me. Dr. Nguyen's letter stating capacity is dated today. I can email it. Oh, she said. Thanks for clarifying. I'll mark the file. May I have your email? I gave it. For the record, she added, Dana indicated your home is unsafe due to repeated falls. Please record that I had 1 bruise in 12 months and manage my daily living, I said. Also record that any transport without my consent is unauthorized. I understand, she said. I wrote her name, time, and phrases, transport scheduled, deposit on file, POA notarization today. Let's get solid, I said. We drove to the bank at 11:15, red folder under my arm. The teller called a manager. Mr. Diaz met us in a glass cubicle. I set Dr. Nguyen's letter, my ID, the appraisal copy, and the police case number on the desk. Note my profile, I said. No new signers, no POA accepted, no wires without my in-person approval or a verified call to this number. Mr. Diaz typed and printed a confirmation, time-stamped 11:28 with his initials. I slid it into the folder. Next, the post office. The clerk scanned the gray letter. Submitted online an hour ago, he said. We'll cancel and flag your address for in-person verification only. He stamped a pink slip and handed it to me. At noon, back at my table, I arranged everything. Dr. Nguyen's letter, Klein & Co.'s appraisal copy, bank confirmation, postal cancellation, the Meadow Pines call notes, photos with clocks, and the reset emails. The folder felt like Walt's toolbox. Compact, heavy, sure. Dana texted at 12:17. We need to talk. Noon tomorrow works, I replied. All communications in writing with a third party present, she wrote back. Don't make this ugly. I typed, Clarity isn't ugly. Mrs. Patel poured tea. Suspicion is no longer fog, she said. It's lines on paper. Liam checked the cam history. Small tell number 4, he said. She tried your side door code twice at 8:19 a.m., wrong both times. Save the clip, I said. At 12:43, a woman in a polo knocked. Home safety assessment, she said. Canceled, I said. The homeowner did not request you. I photographed her badge and the time. She left. At 1:05, Linda's email arrived. Subject, file note, no consent. The body. Per your call at 10:44 a.m., we have suspended intake pending written consent from you. Deposit will be refunded to card on file. Attached, a PDF on Meadow Pines letterhead with timestamp and signature block. Mrs. Patel tapped the page. First solid evidence, she said. Record. At 1:22, an unknown number called. I let it ring. Voicemail landed. Dana's voice clipped. Mom, you're blowing this out of proportion. If you'd just sign, we wouldn't need to escalate. I saved the file and wrote the time next to escalate, underlined once. We made a short list for tomorrow. Consult an elder law attorney. Add a camera for the back gate. Ask Carl to be present. Request the officer's body cam if needed. Print 3 copies of everything, 1 for a safe deposit box. Liam added, Tell Coach I might miss practice. I checked the locks and heard their clean click. In my pocket, the keys felt like 5 small, stubborn promises. Birch shadows moved across the floor. The house steadied. I breathed slow and wrote the date down. By 2, suspicion wasn't a feeling anymore. It was timestamps, signatures, and quiet facts. For the first time since the church steps, my hands stopped shaking. At 2:31 p.m., my phone rang. "Hi, this is Trisha from Maple Row Realty. I'm confirming Friday's pre-list walkthrough and lockbox install for the Hart property. Who authorized that?" I asked. "Your daughter," she said. Note says, "Durable POA pending. Seller unavailable for showings. We'll need keys." "You'll receive nothing from me," I said. "Mark the file. The homeowner does not consent. Email the document you're referencing." 10 minutes later, an email arrived. Listing worksheet, draft, with a date stamp and a scribble where a signature should be. Notes: Notary today, 6:30 p.m. I saved the PDF, printed it, and wrote the time on the top right. At 3:05 p.m., Mrs. Patel's cousin from the clerk's office called back. "We can't discuss a specific person," he said, "but enroll in property fraud alerts." Nothing had recorded. I wrote that down. Liam brought a small trash bag from the study. "Found this under the printer," he said. Inside, 2 misprinted sheets. "To whom it may concern. My mother, Elaine Hart, consents to placement at Meadow Pines and authorizes my daughter, Dana, to manage her assets." My name typed wrong and a shaky scrawl that looked nothing like my signature. I photographed the pages with the digital clock in frame and slid them into plastic sleeves. Paper doesn't argue later. The doorbell pinged at 3:29. On the porch stood Notary Jim again, folio under his arm and a woman in a polo that said, "Transitions by Marla." "Afternoon," he said. "We're here for a medical release and a simple authorization." "Who requested you?" I asked. "Dana," he said. I kept the chain on. "We're not signing." "Present any forms through the mail slot." He slid a stack through. The top said, "HIPAA release." The second said, "Limited agency for property management," with a clause, "includes right to list, lease, or sell." The third was a durable power of attorney. "Standard stuff," Marla said. "Your daughter loves you. She's trying to keep you safe." "Safe starts with plain words," I said, and closed the door. Liam filmed the stack in the clock. Dana's SUV rolled up at 3:37. She came to the porch wearing that practiced, concerned face. "Mom, why are you making everyone the enemy?" "Everyone who treats me like a signature is not my friend," I said. She lifted the packet. "It's standard. You told a realtor I was unavailable for showings." "That's a placeholder," she said quickly. "You'll thank me once the rails are up and the bills are on auto pay." "The banknotes say no," I said. "In writing." "You've been repeating yourself," she said. "You left the stove on last week," I pointed at the cam clip. "I turned it off. You came after and spun the knob to prove a point." "You remember it wrong," she said. "The video remembers it right," I said. "Mom, this combative energy is new," she said softly. "You used to be easygoing." "I used to be unchallenged," I said. Her phone buzzed. "Uncle Carl is worried." "Call him," I said. "Speaker," she called. Carl answered. "Dana said you got lost driving," he told me. "I drove to the bank and post office today," I said. "Brought home signed receipts." "I'm trying to help," Dana said. "Help stops where consent starts," I said. "You're paranoid," she said. "I'm prepared," I said. She tried a new lane. "Liam, sweetheart, could you give us a minute?" "I'm good here," he said. "Mom, you asked me to handle this last week," she said. "You were crying." "That didn't happen," I said. She cut her eyes at Marla. "See? She doesn't remember. We need to act before she hurts herself." "I remember Dr. Ingian's letter dated today," I said. "Linda's email suspending intake pending my consent, and the draft that assumes powers you don't have." "That draft was just to see options," she said. "You scheduled a lockbox." She shrugged. "Fine, I got ahead of myself." "But you've said you're tired." "I'm tired of being managed like a package," I said. Cold crept into her tone. "If you won't sign, I'll file for guardianship." "On what grounds?" I asked. Cognitive decline, safety risk, isolation, she said. A judge will see confusion. I'll show Meadow Pines. Mrs. Patel stepped closer. Guardianship requires evidence and a court, she said. What you have is a paper trail that says the opposite. Dana laughed without humor. Elaine, I hate that it's come to this. You brought it here, I said. Sign the limited agency, she said quietly. We'll skip the POA. Then it's rails and bills. You never said, I replied. And that document lets you list my home. You're reading too much, she said. You never used to be like this. I touched the red folder. I never had to be. Mom, remember the birch tree? She tried. You said we need to make room for better. This is that. No, I said. This is me keeping what we already made. A car door shut out front. Carl walked up the path. He took in the porch. What's going on? I told him. Locksmiths, notary, resets, change of address, the intake call, the realtor draft. He looked at Dana. Is that true? I was trying to help, she said. You were trying to move fast, he said. Fast is for fires. This is Mom's house. You're all ganging up on me, Dana said. No, I said. We're stopping a thing that never should have started. Dana gathered the packet. You're making a mistake, she said. Maybe, I said, calmly, firmly. But it will be my mistake. She went down the steps. The SUV rolled away. The porch went still, birch branches brushing the rail. Mrs. Patel exhaled. Now it's clear, she said. Discovery complete. Gaslight denied. I set the red folder on the table and smoothed the edges. The plan when it came would be careful and clean. It would be ours. By morning, the plan had bones and a heartbeat. We needed a professional, ink on paper, and a clean stage to show the truth in daylight. Mrs. Patel slid a business card across my table. Sophia Rivera, elder law, she said. She likes receipts. At 8:55 a.m., Liam and I sat in an office. Ms. Rivera listened, then tapped my red folder. You already did the hard part, she said. You documented. Now we secure your house and your decision-making and put everyone on notice. How? I asked. 3 moves, she said. 1. A revocable living trust with you as trustee, naming a backup you choose. 2. A limited medical and financial power drafted to your boundaries. 3. Record a deed into your trust, then file fraud alerts. After that, formal letters to the folks who tried shortcuts. Plain, please, I said. Plain is the point, she said. You're in charge and we publish that. Backup trustee? I looked at Liam, then said, Carl. Ms. Rivera nodded, typed, printed. Her paralegal June placed tabs. I read every line aloud. Trustee, Elaine Hart. Successor, Carl Hart. No listing, sale, or agency without trustee consent. My voice steadied. Their in-house notary stamped each page. Ink met paper. The wall clock slid to 10:26 a.m. Next, Ms. Rivera said, June walks your deed to the clerk. Once stamped, that's armor. What about Meadow Pines, the realtor, the notary? I asked. We use their 6:30 as our stage. Invite them to your porch for signing, with a civil standby. We'll read a statement, show the stamped deed, and deliver notices. Public, polite, final. By noon, June texted a photo. Deed filed, 11:58 a.m. The stamp clear as day. Ms. Rivera emailed cease and desist letters to Dana, Notary Jim, Maple Rose Tricia, and Transitions by Marla, attaching Dr. Nguyen's letter, the bank and post office confirmations, and Linda's no consent email. Subject line, clarity. Carl pulled in at 4 with new batteries for the porch cameras. If we're hosting, we need good lighting, he said. We changed them, widened the lens, and checked the mic. The birch whispered. At 6:15, I set a plate of donuts by the door and placed the red folder beside Ms. Rivera's leather one. Mrs. Patel took the chair by the window with her tidy notebook. Liam checked the timestamp overlay. Dana's SUV rolled up first, her engine ticking. Notary Jim's sedan followed, then Marla's van, then a glossy Maple Row hatchback. Ms. Rivera arrived with a slim briefcase. A cruiser eased to the curb a minute later. Officer Webb stepped out. Evening, I said. Come on up. Dana's eyes narrowed. What is all this? Tonight's signing, I said. But not the one you planned. Ms. Rivera took the rail. Good evening. I'm attorney Sophia Rivera for Ms. Hart. We're going to clarify authority and end the confusion. Dana glanced at the camera and the cruiser. Mom, you didn't need to make a scene. A scene is what happens when people try to write over me, I said. This is light. Ms. Rivera held up a copy of the stamped deed to the porch cam. At 11:58 a.m. today, title to this home was deeded into the Elaine Hart Living Trust, with Ms. Hart as trustee, she said. Any listing or lockbox without the trustee's written consent is void. Tricia, please acknowledge that Maple Row has no authority to act. Tricia flushed. We withdraw effective now, she said. I'll email confirmation tonight. Thank you, Ms. Rivera said. Notary James Weston, you attempted to present a durable power and other forms without verifying consent. Cease contact and do not present documents to Ms. Hart outside counsel's presence. This notice will be copied to the State Notary Division. Jim's jaw set. I go where I'm sent. Then go elsewhere, Ms. Rivera said. She turned to Marla. Your broad agency language would have allowed listing or sale. Withdraw and delete all drafts, Marla raised both hands. Understood. Dana hugged her tote. You can't just cut me out. No one cut you out, I said. You did that when you tried to move my mail. Ms. Rivera lifted Dr. Nguyen's fresh letter. Capacity confirmed, dated today. Any guardianship talk would meet this letter and this camera footage. Any further attempts to obtain authority by pressure will be referred to appropriate agencies. She nodded to the officer. Officer Webb's voice was even. Everyone understands that without permission, changing locks, removing property, or attempting to transport Ms. Hart is unlawful. Call us for civil standby, not for shortcuts. Ms. Rivera tapped her phone and set it on speaker. Linda from Meadow Pines, please. I'm here, Linda's voice said. We suspended intake at 1:05 p.m., pending Ms. Hart's consent, and initiated a deposit refund to the card on file. The account is flagged. Contact homeowner only. Thank you, Ms. Rivera said. Tricia glanced at her phone. Withdrawal email sent, she said. My own phone buzzed in my pocket. Linda's confirmation landed in my inbox with a timestamp and case number. Tricia's retraction followed a minute later, subject line, listing canceled. Stamped copies. Ms. Rivera set another paper on the rail. This is a boundary letter. It revokes any prior informal permissions, preserves porch footage, requires all communication in writing, and states that uninvited entry triggers 911 and council contact. Please sign the receipt of delivery. Dana's mouth trembled. This is cruel. This is clear, I said softly. There's a difference. She looked at Liam. You're okay with this? He met her eyes. I'm okay with Grandma being in charge. Silence settled. The birch leaves ticked. Dana signed the receipt. Her signature looked small on the wide white line. Miss Rivera nodded to the officer. We're done. I slid the deed back into my folder. The porch light hummed. I poured lemonade. Donut? I asked. No one took one. That was fine. The stage had done its work. Thank you for coming, I said, steady. And thank you for leaving now. The porch emptied, but the ripples kept moving. Ms. Rivera and Officer Webb walked to the curb. Tricia, Marla, and Jim drove off in a slow parade. Dana sat behind her wheel for a minute, then pulled away. The birch sighed like a curtain after a hard scene. I stood with Liam, the deed warm in my hand, and let the air settle. We exhaled in silence. That night we cleaned edges. Carl printed a no soliciting, no agents sign for the window. Liam labeled a thumb drive porch, NOV3, and saved the video in 2 places. I changed the Wi-Fi password and wrote it on a card. Only I could read. Mrs. Patel carried home a donut and a copy of the boundary letter in a sleeve she called. Insurance, morning. Brought the accounting. Ms. Rivera forwarded 3 emails. Maple Rose broker apologized, confirmed the listing withdrawal, and scheduled training on unauthorized representation. Notary Jim's name sat on a complaint-received ticket at the state office, with a case number under it like a period. Marla wrote, file closed. Documents deleted. Linda at Meadow Pines attached the refund receipt and a flag. Contact resident only. At 9, I met Ms. Rivera to finish the quiet work. We added a no-contest clause to my trust for anyone who challenges distributions in bad faith. If a relative tries again to grab control without consent, their share drops to $1 and a letter explaining why. Carl remained successor trustee. If he can't serve, the bank steps in. For medical decisions, I named Dr. Nguyen and Carl in order, then Liam when he turns 21. The pages made a soft, steady stack. Anything else today? Ms. Rivera asked. Yes, I said. I want my house to help what matters to me, not someone else's hurry. We added a small scholarship clause, one senior at Liam's high school each spring who can write about care, courage, or honesty. That went in ink. My home would push a kid forward long after I stopped sitting on this porch. That felt like the opposite of being locked away. After lunch, Officer Webb stopped by to close his report. Final lines. Homeowner affirmed capacity. Parties withdrew after council's notice. Use civil channels. Case closed unless further incident. He handed me a copy. Liam took our picture at the rail. No smile demanded, only the quiet kind. Then came the harder piece, the talk with Dana. I didn't call. She did. I'll come by at 4, she texted. Alone, I replied. I asked Ms. Rivera to be on speaker for 10 minutes and let Carl sit in the kitchen within earshot. Boundaries are for both sides. Dana arrived tight-lipped, carrying nothing. She stood on the porch where she once posed in a spelling bee dress, and for a second I saw both versions stacked. My child and this woman trying to undo me. I'm not your enemy, she said. Then stop acting like one, I said. Sit, we didn't pour coffee. I read the parts of the trust that touched her. You remain my daughter, I said. You are not my agent. You do not speak for me. You are a beneficiary of sentimental items and modest funds, not the house. If you pursue guardianship or attempt control again, the no contest clause activates and your share becomes $1. Ms. Rivera's voice on speaker was steady. Ms. Hart is affirming lawful boundaries. A counselor may help you rebuild trust later. A court will not replace this trustee while she's competent. Dana's shoulders sagged. I don't know how we got here, she said. You mapped it, I said. Locksmiths, notary, false drafts, change of address, intake behind my back. You took a shortcut around me, she swallowed. I was scared after your fall. I was bruised, not broken. You didn't offer rails. You planned a lockbox. I thought I'd lose you, she whispered. You almost did, I said. We set practical terms. Visits by text first. No keys, no mail access. No scheduling anything for me. Written communication only for money talk. She signed a one-page house rules and took a photo of it. Keep to this for a year, I said, and we'll talk. I won't promise changes. She looked at Liam. Are you happy now? I'm safe now, he said. She pressed her lips and left without slamming the door. The porch felt like a porch again, not a stage. Days slid back into ordinary, but tighter. I cooked beans and cornbread, took cuttings of Mrs. Patel's basil, taught Liam to reseason a skillet. We replaced the frayed mat with one that says, simply, here. I set the porch light to a timer and let the swing tell me what the weather intends. Small things, but they added up to a life that was mine in motion, not just mine on paper. 2 weeks later, an envelope arrived from the state. Notary James Weston was suspended for failing to verify consent. Maple Row confirmed a donation to the scholarship fund in recognition of Ms. Hart's clear boundaries. I slid both into the red folder. It didn't feel angry anymore. It felt like a ledger balanced. In December, Linda sent a holiday card from Meadow Pines with a note. We adopted a new consent verification policy. Your call helped. I pinned it to the corkboard beside Walt's old route map. On the first warm Saturday of spring, we hung a small bell on the birch for Walt. The neighbors gathered, Mr. Diaz from the bank. Dr. Nguyen, Mrs. Patel with Ladus. Carl told a story about the time the swing dumped us both, and we laughed until my ribs hurt good. Liam read the first scholarship announcement. It was brief and bright and said what mattered. When the sun slid down and the porch went gold, I locked my door, not in fear but as a habit, touched the deed like a blessing, and sat on the swing with my boy in the long, familiar creak of a house that knows my name. Also, check out these 2 videos. If you love true granny stories, tap subscribe so you don't miss the next twist.